So is there
Yeah.
something they say that by removing the social media element or hindering it, so to speak, dampening it, whatever word you want to use, that children will have a better chance to form meaningful relationships, but also to engage in restorative relationships and how to overcome those conflicts and challenges? Or am I just being aspirational and delusional here?
No, I think you're absolutely right. They're the sort of things that we would hope would emerge from what we call face-to-face interaction, wouldn't they?
Yeah. And I think there's a lot to be said around. We talk a lot in this podcast about identity development, the importance of sound relationships, and understanding how you fit into relationships. And I think you get much more quality feedback from interactive or interpersonal interactions rather than virtual ones. And I think there we might even see you said about emotional regulation. We might see a byproduct of this is that within schools, we might see the teachers are finding behavior regulation more sustainable. I'm thinking of our secondary school teachers primarily in this regard. Do you think there's any credence around that, or do you think there's still a lot more work to be done first before we're going to start seeing that behavior improvement we're always hoping for?
Yeah, I think there'd be quite a substantial period of adjustment and be a long time before we start to see, you know, evidence from research and whether the imposition of restrictions of social media actually causes social benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the other things about social media is that when we use it too often, it might not necessarily be the use of social media, whether it's doom scrolling or sending messages for hours into the evening. It's actually the loss of opportunity. And I remember attending a conference whereby the key finding of the keynote speaker was that social media itself didn't attribute to per attention skills or aggression in young people or per social communication skills. It was the fact that they weren't engaging enough in extracurricular activities, your football, your gymnastics, your music lessons, your creative writing lessons, whatever it is, those things that allow people to explore their identities through activities outside of the school's curriculum. And I just wanted to hear your thoughts on, do you think we're going to see young people going more towards extracurricular activities now if this ban comes into place? Or do you think we're going to see this revolt against the social media ban? Don't dare take away my TikTok and Instagram.
I'd like to say yes, we're going to see, improvement in social activities, but I think the reality is we're going to have just a void. They're taking something away, and what's it being replaced with? Sorry about the dog barking, by the way.
Sounds like he's telling you off for taking away his TikTok.
Yeah. But when you take something away, you need to replace it with something.
Mm-hmm.
So, the classic when people give up cigarette smoking, for example, the people that are successful will say, I replaced it with something.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people took a long time to give up, and they would also always say things, not always, sorry, but they would often say things like, I stopped smoking, but I didn't replace it with anything. So it's the same with the social media. What are we going to give people instead?
The educationalists will be like, "Oh, give them more literacy and numeracy," whereas I'd be saying, "Give them more football and rugby." What would you give them more of?
The same. I mean, I'm thinking, when I was growing up and there wasn't social media, there were clubs. There were swimming clubs and athletics clubs and all the stuff that people do, really.
But you see, all the funding's taken away from that. There's nothing they do anymore for young people, they say.
Well, this is kind of where I'm going. What is there out there? Is the infrastructure in place to replace the social media ban? And I'm sure it is, because all those activities haven't stopped. But who's sort of guiding young people about, well, what do we do instead? How do we communicate? What's the what's the methods that we can use?
Certainly, even since my day, there's a lot fewer youth workers out there and youth projects. They sort of encourage people to engage in these extracurricular activities, and then, they find their passion and they run with it. And I
Mm.
suppose the thing has always been, oh well, it falls back onto schools to show them.
Yeah,
And schools have clubs and all that stuff, and they're great. But surely this can't be another thing that schools have to pick up. There has to be something else that will fill this void.
yeah, there does have to be.
This episode of Between Two Psychs is proudly sponsored by Sanctuary Personnel. As a specialist recruitment partner across psychology services, education, social care, and healthcare, Sanctuary is dedicated to connecting talented professionals with organizations that truly value expertise. They take a consultative approach, meaning they understand the sectors they serve across the UK. If you're looking to strengthen your team or elevate your own career, visit sanctuarypersonnel.com. You can also reach out directly to Kamru Zaman at k.zaman@sanctuarypersonnel.com and Susie Cousins, s.cousins @sanctuarypersonnel.com. Contacts in the description. Thank you and enjoy the episode.